Remember these? Yeah, in hindsight, it was kind of like dog food for kids, but it still had a special charm to it. Now, I've been feeling a bit nostalgic lately, so I decided to make a chefed up version of SpaghettiOs that's matured, yet still brings out the inner kid inside. And by the end of the day, not only will you have your own culinary time machine back to the good old days, but I'm gonna put you on to a lesser known pasta shape they don't sell in most grocery stores. I'll show you a 30-minute meat sauce that tastes better than your best friend's Italian grandma's bolognese. Sorry, Nonna Russo. Then, as a bonus, we're gonna turn this already insane pasta dish into this Italian pot pie pizza thing. And I'll introduce you to the eccentric chef who's serving this up at one of the most hyped Italian restaurants in Brooklyn. He's a bit of a character.
Bro, I got 6 grams of protein, I got vitamin C in here.
So let's get going, because today we're making Okay, let's talk sauce, because SpaghettiOs is such a sauce-forward dish, it's important we get this right. We're gonna do a meat sauce. Not quite a bolognese, more like a heavily meat-infused tomato sauce. Let's start with a little bit of knife work. We're going for a medium to fine dice on a yellow onion. You could go full mirepoix with carrots and celery too, but I'm just going onion today because that's what I got. Followed by some garlic. And don't be shy here. Also, don't stress about making these super fine. This is rustic cooking. And plus, the finer you chop alliums like garlic and onions, the more the acidic and intense, strong compounds come out, and we want to maximize for sweetness and not necessarily a pungent, garlicky onion bite. We're not looking to ward off vampires today. Alright, let's get some olive oil into a pan on medium heat, followed by some 80-20 ground beef and some Italian pork sausage. You can use spicy Italian sausage if you want, but today I'm using mild. Break it up a bit and then let it sit for a little while before flipping to get a little Maillard reaction going and develop some of those round, roasty flavors. Then flip it and break it up some more. Try to get it nice and fine, then we'll add our garlic and onions to it, followed by some salt and some cracked black pepper. As always, the full recipe is in the link down below. Keep this moving around for a few minutes, and once everything is softened, we're gonna let it deglaze with some red or white wine and let it cook down for a little bit. If you don't use alcohol in your cooking, leave it out, no problem. Next, let's get in a nice can of San Marzano tomatoes, or tomatoes of your choice. I just like San Marzano tomatoes for the bright acidic flavor, and it plays nicely off the richness of the beef and sausage. I pureed these with a hand blender for a smooth texture, but you can use a regular blender or crush them by hand for an extra rustic feel. Get another big pinch of salt and some more black pepper. You really want to season at every stage because when you just add salt at the end, it doesn't have the same effect. I'll also throw in a sprig of basil, which we'll extract later once it's spent. And we're gonna let this simmer for 30 to 45 minutes. Then go ahead and kill the heat and extract your spent basil. And once it's been off the heat for a few minutes, I'm adding a touch of cream for a little extra silkiness to help coat the pasta. Once it's mixed in, you can turn the heat back onto low to bring it all together and keep it warm. You can leave out the cream if dairy gives your tummy some trouble like mine does, but sometimes it's worth it. The cream also helps give it a slight bit more of a bolognese vibe, though to be clear, it's not a bolognese.
I don't want those Bolognians coming out to whack me out, They got that bologna money.
That's Nino Coniglio. He's the head chef at Lucky Charlie, one of Brooklyn's most hype Italian pizza spots and the home of the city's oldest coal-fired pizza oven, as seen on Bon Appetit and written about by countless food journalists. Nino and Lucky Charlie were the sole inspiration for this dish, so we'll try to do him justice by not changing up his recipe too much. Okay. While our sauce is hanging out, we're gonna roast some eggplant. I'm gonna show you a little trick with eggplant to get more even cubes, because the shape of an eggplant can be kind of awkward, and I struggled with this for years. So first, I like to trim the edges, cut it in half. Now we're gonna cut it into sheets vertically. And now we have a much more manageable and even surface area to work with. Now we're gonna dice it into nice little bite-sized cubes. Try and opt for an Italian eggplant if you can find one, which is slightly smaller and more tender than a regular eggplant, but I always tend to say use what you got. Don't stress, we're just trying to vibe out today. Toss them with a little bit of olive oil, some salt, and some pepper. Spread them out on a sheet tray, then bake them in the oven at a high temperature like 400 or so. Feel free to use convection too if you have it. This way they quickly brown and seal the surface, preventing it from getting too mushy and overcooked. Another solid tip for these or potatoes or anything similar is to preheat the sheet tray so the bottom side of the product gets a nice jump start in color and we get less sog. Alright, let's address that pasta. We're going to be using Analleti, and they're basically SpaghettiOs. It's very unlikely you'll see these in a grocery store. Sometimes you can find them at an Italian market or a specialty store, but you'll probably need to order them online. You can just search for Analleti on Google, and I've seen them on Amazon and a few other places. I'll leave a link down below. So let's get our Analleti into some boiling and salted water. Although they're relatively small in shape, I find it takes kind of a bit of time to cook these. And lucky for us, for this recipe, I want them very al dente, like slightly under where I'd normally stop because it's gonna cook again in the hot sauce mixture and then finish in the oven. Okay, we're gonna get our strained Analleti into a pan with some of our finished pasta sauce and hit it with some reserved pasta water that I extracted earlier. The starch from the pasta water acts as a natural thickener and glue to help marry the pasta to the sauce. Kill the heat, and we're gonna throw in our eggplant, followed by some pecorino romano. Then ladle it into an oven-safe single-serving bowl or dish, and single serving is open to interpretation here, but we're going to finish the assembly with some shaved primo sale, which is sort of like a bridge between a low-moisture mozzarella and a pecorino romano. Feel free to substitute with one or the other, or both. Then we're going to nestle in a few little cubes of fresh mozzarella that are going to create some beautiful little creamy pockets of textural contrast. Nino adds a few other things including peas, which I'm leaving out because I can just hear the comments now. Ew, peas, gross. Anyway, we're gonna throw this under the broiler to get a little char going and melt the cheese. And just like every Italian dish I make, olive oil at every stage, followed by some more pecorino to finish, and a little basil for a pop of color. Wow. Look at this thing, man. Let's see how it is. And just like that, I'm transported back to my childhood house in New Jersey, playing the best freaking video games. Good times. The savoriness of the meat sauce, the creaminess of the cheese. This is what SpaghettiOs used to taste like in my mind. Not like whatever this was. But we're not done yet though. I want to see if we can go full Nino on this. So we're gonna turn it into that pot pie pizza thing, which is gonna start with a pizza dough ball. This is just a Trader Joe's one, but if you're looking for the good stuff, check out my Sari's Pizza recreation video. I'll leave a link down below. Basically, it was the best pizza I've ever had, and I show you guys exactly how I make it without a fancy pizza oven or anything like that. So let's get a nice, thin and even shape here, and since we don't need a crust, feel free to use a rolling pin or a bottle of tequila or something. Now we'll repeat the finishing steps from before, but in a larger oven-safe dish this time, and we'll pre-broil the top just to help melt the cheese a bit before getting our rolled out pizza dough onto the top. And I kind of trim the edges with some scissors, but you can play around with it. And just like Lucky Charlie, we're gonna get a dollop of tomato right in the middle. Then get it into a screaming hot oven, a couple levels below the broiler, and kick it on. While that's in the oven, if you've been digging the background music, I write and produce all of it myself, and it's available on streaming platforms under the name Jandre FM. And you can download the files for free on my Patreon. No sign up required. My channel isn't big enough for sponsors yet, but on Patreon I'll be posting additional recipes, videos, music, and more. So please consider supporting my content with a membership. I'll leave a link down below. Alright, I think it's just about ready. We're gonna finish it off with a little drizzle of olive oil and a sprig of basil for color. And you got yourself an Italian pot pie. We didn't get the same mountainous rise that Nino gets, but I'm thinking it might be a dough problem. Either way, this thing is epic as hell. And this is genius because you can take the crust and dip it into the sauce. Ugh, it's so good. All right, let's see how it is. Transported back again. Go on without me. I'm not going back. All right, so what have we learned? A good pasta dish is about textures, contrast, seasoning at each stage, developing some roasted charry flavors when necessary, and that food can transport us to a different place or a different time. And that is something beautiful. Please give a like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.